Welcome to this episode of Trailer Trash presented by Cinema Creep. In Trailer Trash, we review, react, and talk about horror movie trailers. And today it's no exception because we are going to be talking about Rob Zombie's second trailer that he just dropped for The Munsters. So before we get into it, let's do a little bit of backstory to my history with The Munsters and Rob Zombie, of course. So if you watch this podcast episode or listen to this podcast episode here, then you know my take on Rob Zombie. I'm going to let you figure that out as this episode goes through. If you're a longtime listener, then you already know how I feel about him. We'll touch base on that more later. Now, I do want to talk about my history with The Munsters because I do have a little bit of a skewed vision when it comes to Rob Zombie wanting to do a reboot, reimagining, or remake of one of my favorite childhood shows. But I do think that we need to go ahead and get out there that I'm going to be a little bit jaded, a little bit harder on these trailers in this film as it comes out because I do have a history with The Munsters. So as a lot of weird horror kids growing up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, you were watching The Munsters. So I'm 35, born in 86, but my parents, my mom especially, she fed me The Munsters, Twilight Zone, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and The Addams Family. So these are the four things that actually got me started on horror and made me move into things like Halloween and A Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th, which led to B-movies and Grindhouse movies and so on and so forth. But I've always had a special place in my heart for The Munsters because it was just scary fun. So years back, before I found out that Rob Zombie was doing this Munsters remake, I remember showing my son, who was probably 8 or 9 at the time, The Munsters. I was so stoked on showing him. I was like, hey, check this out. You've got to watch this. He thought it was the dumbest thing in the world. Just because of how modern day horror is nowadays, it's no longer just silly. It just comes across as just campy and really, really dumb. Unless you grew up with it, then like I said, you keep a special place in your heart for it. But let's go ahead and let's watch this trailer, and then we'll get back into more of my personal feelings about The Munsters. So here we go. So I gotta say, first thing first, I really like this old school Universal Picture intro screen.
Rob Zombie, the director of House of a Thousand Corpses, Halloween, and The Devil's Rejects, brings you the greatest love story ever told.
Okay, I want to stop right here. I'm sort of feeling this intro. I like it. I wasn't really tracking that this was going to be a love story. Now, obviously, we know Lily and Herman in the show are in love. But let's find out, because I don't even know what the synopsis of this movie is.
I don't like the sound of that.
Wolfman, not really.
The brain of a super genius transplanted into the body of a perfect physical specimen.
Okay, so let's stop right here. So, is this movie going to be in color? Because I know the first trailer was showing that it was going to be in black and white, which is how most of The Munsters was presented, at least in this series. They had a few of those color spin-offs, and then The Munsters Go Home was in color. And The Munsters Go Home got a lot of flack, but I actually really enjoyed it when the Munsters went on vacation, or I guess they went home. So I guess this is going to be in color.
I want a man that makes my blood run cold. A man that every time he enters my crypt, it's like a stake through my dead black heart.
I can whip you up a humpy down in the land.
Oh, no.
I will say, Grandpa Munster, I don't know how much I'm feeling the mustache, but the guy that's playing him is so close to like Al Lewis. Like, I love Grandpa Munster. Like, he's always made this show for me. I actually have a Grandpa Munster portrait on my leg, like a tattoo, and this dude, he's really got it down on lock. So really stoked for his performance.
Remember what happened last time?
He was batty.
Nosferatu.
I'm gonna go.
Okay. I'm looking for a vision, a queen, true love.
And what exactly do you want?
Is Herman Munster in there? I knew the moment I laid eyes on you that you were special. I understand if you don't feel the same.
Okay, so what I'm getting from this is that it's sort of a prequel to the Munsters. This is obviously where Herman and Lily try to find each other and they fall in love. And then this is when they, you know, have Marilyn and Eddie Munster. Or I guess Marilyn came to stay with them. But this is where, like, before they had Eddie Munster. So pretty interesting, but it's before Marilyn and Eddie. And it's sort of like how there's the monster world and then there's the real world.
Just a regular gal living a boring, normal life.
If there's one thing I know, is that the rest of the world melted away as soon as you...
Okay. This guy that's playing Herman Munster, he's no Fred Gwynn. No Fred Gwynn at all. I hate his voice. I hate the way that he is sort of like acting as Herman Munster. Like, the costuming isn't so bad. Like, I can get over the costuming. The costuming looks okay. But I don't like his mannerisms. They're really try hard, and I don't like his voice as Herman Munster. Because Herman Munster, like, Fred Gwynn always had that really deep voice. And this dude, it just doesn't sound right. Regardless if it's young Herman Munster or not, it just doesn't sound right.
My life.
It seems Miss Lily is truly in love.
Oh, come on, you know and I know that we gotta get rid of that bozo Herman Munster.
Greetings from Transylvania.
Okay, so this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. Herman Munster's voice there, just the freeze frame on this makeup right here doesn't look good, and whatever this scene is, just straight
That's
garbage.
a strange way of saying hello.
Oh, I guess we're gonna have to get used to it.
Now, I will say that it being PG-13, I knew that originally from the other trailer that it wasn't going to be a rated R movie. So when I very first found out that Rob Zombie was going to do a Munsters movie, I was like, oh crap, he's going to trailer trash this up like he does. He puts all of these kind of crazy just white trash characters in all of his movies, like House of a Thousand Corpses, Halloween, so on and so forth. And I thought, oh man, he's going to just kill the Munsters. Now, I will say that I do like the fact that he's keeping it silly, but I will say that I don't like the fact that I don't know if it's intentionally silly or if it's just bad writing, if it's... it looks like something Disney would have put out before Disney got cool with doing Star Wars, right? Like, if you watch movies that were horror movies for kids that Disney put out, like, for example, I think it was Disney. Like, I used to watch a lot of these movies with my son, like this one here. It's called Spooky Buddies. Movies like these, where they were like movies geared towards kids, or even like Halloween Town, movies like that, that's what this feels like. And I understand that, you know, the Munsters have always been goofy, but I just think that it sort of shits on all the old fans. Now, I think even if I took my son, who's 11, to see this, he would be like, why are we watching this? He'd be like, this is stupid. Not stupid like he thought the old Munsters was stupid, because that was like, yeah, Dad, this is kind of, I get why you like this, but I'm not into this. It's pretty dumb. The jokes aren't really funny. And that's like when he was 8 or 9. And this, he would just be like, this is hot garbage. It's a dumpster fire. Now, I will say you can't really judge a movie by its trailer, but it gives you a good idea, because that's the footage that's in the movie, at least a lot of times, the 90% of it. So If the movie's anything like the trailer that we just watched, it's gonna be a no-go. But things I do like the guy that plays Grandpa Munster. He reminds me a lot of Al Lewis, which is awesome on his part. The guy that plays Herman Munster is no Fred Gwynn. And let's just throw their pictures up. Can we get a picture of Fred Gwynn up here and a picture of the new Herman Munster here? So yeah, so there's really no comparison. It's not even close. The mannerisms aren't good on the new one. The makeup's not even as good. And it's not, like, his voice is just terrible. Like, that's going to drive me crazy throughout the entire movie. Now, I will say, Sherry Moon Zombie is not somebody I'm a fan of. Like, her acting is normally really bad. But as Lily Munster, she doesn't seem like she's doing as bad of a job in this. But it's probably because everybody else in this, or Herman Munster at least, is so bad that she doesn't look as bad as an actor. But I really don't have anything against her personally. I think it's cool that Rob Zombie's like, hey, I'm going to put my wife in everything. But I think that you could tell that she's trying to be Lily Munster, Yvonne Carlo, really, really bad. And I don't know, just not buying it. But like I said, her performance is the least of my worries when it comes to this. I will say that this movie had a $40 million budget, and it looks like it was shot on an iPhone. It looks like it was shot on a Canon Rebel T3i. It's not that the cinematography is bad, because the lighting looked awesome. I'm a huge fan of, like, neon cinematography, giallos and Nicholas Winding Refn type movies, and like Suspiria, like Argento films. Like, you guys know, I love that. If you've ever listened to the podcast, right, like our neon horror, neon giallo episode, I talk a lot about that. But I will say this movie looks cool in its stills, but it looks like it's, I don't know, shot at like, 30 frames per second, shot on like, probably, maybe even shot at like 8K, right? Like, it's just too crisp. It doesn't look like a film. It looks like it is something that is direct to video that Disney would have released back in like 2002. And I'm not stoked at all about that. And $40 million budget, where did it go? Like, did it go to the set decorators? Did it go in Rob Zombie's pocket? Like, he just like, I'm taking 30 million of this. This is nothing but a payday. Did it go to them building Mockingbird Lane? Because Mockingbird Lane at least looks legit. And I heard or read or something that they built that from the ground up. But if this is a prequel, how much of Mockingbird Lane do we actually get to see? You know what I mean? And if this is a prequel, does that mean that we're going to get a sequel to this movie? I hope not. I hope not. Like, I hope this is a one and done for him. Like, he makes the prequel and then he's done. But at least it's a prequel and not a reimagining, which is sort of respectable. Very curious to hear Herman Munster's band in this movie. Not totally sure what that's going to sound like. But, yeah. $40 million. I'm going to have to say that I'm pretty sure that I read that this is going straight to Peacock, which is Universal's streaming service. I think it's Peacock. So I'll probably be watching it on Peacock. That's how I watched the last David Gordon Green's Halloween Kills, which was freaking awful. So that's probably how I'll watch this. Like, if I had high hopes for this, I would actually go to the theater, but I don't. This looks like something that I'm going to watch on TV, and, I pay like $5 a month, I think, for Peacock, so I guess I'll be paying $5 to see this movie. So I really can't complain too much, other than it sort of stomps all over my childhood. So I'm still not sure if this is for kids, even though it's PG-13, or who it's for, because a kid's movie at the beginning of the trailer wouldn't be like, oh, House of a Thousand Corpses, Halloween, because a kid's going to go Google House of a Thousand Corpses and then, probably cause some problems. But not super stoked on this film whatsoever. But like I said, you really can't judge it by the trailer. It looks like garbage. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think of this new Munsters trailer, if you think it's going to be good or if you think it's going to be trash. And let me know why. and be looking forward to some more Cinema Creep stuff. It's been a little while since we uploaded, but getting stuff back on track over here, and nothing will bring me out of the woodwork like seeing some hot garbage like this that makes me angry, that I want to talk about with the world. So if you guys haven't, go ahead, like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel for more horror stuff, because it is going to be more consistent going forward. And if you like audio podcasts, subscribe to us on Spotify, or go back and watch the video podcasts that accompany every audio podcast here on this channel. We will be back with another episode of Trailer Trash and more awesome videos over disgusting, vile, and terrifying things in the world of horror cinema. So, my name is Drewxcifer, and I'll see you guys on the next one. So, see ya.